Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week, we need to discuss mechanical doping because new evidence has come to light which suggests that hidden motors in bikes is a thing.
And we've also got Hot Tech this week where we discuss the latest Shimano GRX Di2 group set. We've got Wahoo integration with a new SRAM Red group set. We've got tyres specifically designed for certain wheels. We've got a kit to convert any bike into an e-bike and yet another slightly outrageous aero helmet.
And if we look quite tired, it's because we literally flew back from New York last night. Yeah.
You look great.
Okay. Right, before we do our main talking point, in case viewers are wondering why we're in New York, it's because we were doing Gran Fondo New York.
Yeah.
And we've got videos coming out on that. So you can see how we got on. Stay tuned.
Super exciting. Right, so this week we're talking about mechanical doping. Something that you and I have actually been having a conversation about whilst on our latest holiday in New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've kind of been investigating it a little bit more than me and doing a bit more research. So share some of this to start with and see how we're now talking about it.
Well, the reason why this has come back into the consciousness is because I've been listening to a really good podcast by a friend and former colleague of mine called Chris Marshall Bell. It's called the Ghost in the Machine podcast, and I recommend you go check it out. But that podcast is actually an active, ongoing investigation into mechanical doping. And some of the things that have been uncovered in it and shown in it are really quite alarming. And so I felt it's definitely worth us talking about it.
Now, mechanical doping to me seems absolutely outrageous and kind of so far-fetched that in my head I want to say surely this isn't a thing. Surely no one's doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at as well. We've talked about it on the Tech Show before, and yeah, you just think, no, surely not. But then with what has been, discussed in this Ghost in the Machine podcast and some of the things, it's actually changed my mind.
Okay.
Quite considerably, and it's made me think that actually, no, there is probably a very real possibility that this is ongoing, and it's not necessarily what you think.
So I suppose the first thing we need to discuss, right, is how. How is this a thing and what exactly is it? So we're talking about hidden motors in bikes, right? We're not talking about e-bikes as such and the systems that are commercially available because, well, the batteries are massive, the motors are massive, it's really obvious. We're talking about something slightly different where it's not really like a widely commercially available product. It's much smaller, it's hidden, it's like a considerably less powerful device.
So that's a key thing. So when you look at e-bike systems, they're typically offering in the region of 250 to 300 watts of assistance. Now, a pro cyclist does not need that. And when you consider things that, we've mentioned it before, I think it's a good yardstick. 5 watts on Alpe d'Huez to the average pro is worth more than a kilogram of weight. So you don't need much power in order to generate a race-winning benefit.
You certainly don't need 250 watts. I think people might notice that.
Yeah. So what they're suggesting is that the motors being used, the assistance being used, is in the region of sort of 50-watt motors, and that is sufficient.
So, I think we need to be clear on our kind of standpoint here, because we're not sat here saying that everyone is cheating and that's a thing, because let's be totally clear on this. There's only ever been one case that's been proven to be that someone was found cheating, right?
Yes. But the alarming thing was, this was back in 2016. Many of you will remember this, and some of you will have probably forgotten. But the only ever proven case of mechanical doping was the Dutch rider Femke van Drescher, who was in the Junior Cyclocross Worlds, and she was found that her spare bike contained a VVAX assist motor.
Which was a commercially available product at the time, right?
Yes, that was. And that is a system that I've personally tried out and used.
Yeah.
And also Sai and Matt did a video back in the day using it, which you can check out as they tried it out.
It must be back in the day if Matt was in it.
Yeah, but when I used that system, I found that it was a bit pants.
Okay.
Like, but the technology has moved on a lot.
Yeah, technology's changed since then.
But it was very loud.
Yeah.
It was pretty bulky. It was actually, if you knew what you were looking for, it was very easy to spot that it was being used. And so I don't think a system like that has necessarily been used, or is definitely not currently being used at the top level of the sport. But that, again, was a more powerful system. That was something that could provide like 250 watts or so. So that was,
more substantial.
Bigger than what you need.
But the alarming thing, right, for me, that one case has been caught and proven, but correct me if I'm wrong here, but the first time the UCI ever searched for hidden motors, this was what happened. They found one.
It was
the first time ever.
I think it was the first bike that they actually checked as well.
Yeah.
Which is very alarming. I think that's an incredible coincidence.
Yeah.
Or it was just the tip of the iceberg and then people started hiding it. There have been accusations that people actually have used those systems and to cheat in like Grand Fondos and amateur races and things, which I think is highly plausible but also ridiculous. Ridiculous in the sense that why would you cheat in an amateur race like that?
Yeah, I mean, the like risk versus reward thing sort of starts to come into it here. But so a lot of what we're discussing is based around speculation, right?
Yeah.
There's very little in the way of like hard facts and evidence here. So what we are going to then continue to carry on talking about is what people are suggesting might be the case at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And that's far smaller systems, potentially hidden into like the rear hub, for example, yeah?
Yes, and that's when you look at how motor technology has advanced.
Yeah.
You love RC cars.
I do, love them. Great.
The motor technology around small little motors, it has tremendously advanced in the last 10, 15 years to the point where you can get very powerful, very small motors that could conceivably fit into the back of a rear hub that could easily provide in the region of 50 watts. Yes, the torque isn't massive, and then you face a challenge of gearing it up, although that would be possible with sort of planetary gear systems, such as what is found in the classified hub. We're not saying the classified hub is mechanical dope.
Careful, don't want to.
But like that, there's those sort of gearing systems are available.
Well, battery tech's evolved as well.
Yeah. But then what you do have is the torque is less of an issue because you're not trying to use the motor to get off the line where you need maximum torque. Once you're pedaling at 90, 100 RPM.
It's like a bit of a boost, right?
The torque, you're providing the torque. Yeah. It's just giving you a boost on top with speed. So it's that really. And then in terms of the battery, what's been suggested is that these systems are being made, they're not being seen in public, they're not commercially available.
Yeah, understandably.
But they're being made by shady characters who are, and they cost tens and tens of thousands if you want one of these systems.
Yeah.
But they're being made by shady characters. Apparently, there's one such shady character in Hungary who's making them.
Okay.
And yeah, they then.
But there's a couple of things that you need to overcome here, like just thinking of it in a common sense, logical way, right? If you're trying to have a little motor hidden in a hub, you can somehow conceivably think, you've squeezed it into the hub body or whatever. But that's just one piece of it, right? You need to find a battery. You need to have some sort of system to control it. You need to have the motor connected to the battery, which means if you've got it inside a hub, you've got to somehow have wires coming from the hub into the frame where the battery is hidden. Then you've got to control it. And then you've got things like, how do you go about doing wheel changes? So then you ruled out a wheel change in a race, and now you can only do a bike change. Yeah, so
that's an interesting thing that's covered. Is this they were saying on the podcast that when you have a hub-based system, the way you would do it is you'd have a battery that goes through the axle and then into the frame, and then the battery is hidden in the frame. But like you say, that then means that you can't do a rear wheel change because then it pulls the wire.
Yeah.
So the simple way around that is you just do a bike change.
Yeah.
And we do increasingly see more bike changes and wheel changes, which is something that's been attributed to the fact that that's often quicker than changing a through axle because of disc brakes now.
Yeah.
But it's like the perfect cover.
Yeah, I don't think I can sit here and say...
But in terms of a battery charging it can just be a Bluetooth battery connection.
Okay.
And riders have buttons on their handlebars for additional shifters and things.
Okay.
That's no issue. That's easily sorted.
Okay.
I mean, there's other systems that have been touted are ones where, or rumoured, are ones, and we've talked about this before in the Tech Show a couple of years ago, ones where you would have magnets all around the wheel rim, and then you would use electromagnetic induction with coils of wire,
section of frame.
such as, well, they'd have to be positioned on the seat stays or the chain stays, and then through a battery in the frame, passing a current into those coils of wire, you can get the wheel to spin. Practically, I think that is a very convoluted system. I think it's quite, although it's mechanically simple, that hiding it becomes
it all just
difficult.
seems like it just seems too far-fetched to me, right? If the UCI are searching for this stuff, surely they're just going to find it. We've got things like they originally had X-ray machines, then they had the iPads that would
they had the iPads first.
The iPads first, scanning for like magnetic fields from the bike, because if you've got a motor, it's got to have a magnet in it to work, that kind of stuff. So it just doesn't all add up to me.
They have introduced these mobile X-ray machines, which are kind of like, I think, like airport scanner type technology, where they pass the bike through and they can sort of scan it and look what's inside it. And yes, like, these checks can find things, although they're saying that some of these motors aren't detectable in the little iPad check thing.
Yeah.
But while they are checking things, and like, fair play to the UCI for bringing in these checks, and clearly you would think that this is a serious problem by the fact that they have introduced these checks and are increasing the checks that they're doing.
Yeah.
I think at that point you have to start taking it seriously.
Yeah, okay, that's a valid point.
Right? But what does emerge as well in this podcast is the fact that the checks seem woefully inadequate. Because, right, it's the effectiveness of these checks, and the implementation of them. So apparently they were saying that they're not checking. Well, right. So you need to understand, they're not checking every bike. They're not checking every wheel.
From like a logistical point of view.
They're not checking at every stage. They're not checking at every race. There are races where there are no checks. There are stages. Apparently, in last year's Vuelta and Giro, they didn't check any bike at any time trial.
Arguably, that's the time when you would say a system like this would make the biggest difference as well.
Especially when it comes to hiding a battery, because in the case of a time trial disc, with a faired disc, that's a much easier place to hide a battery and a motor.
Do you know, it all makes sense. It just all feels like too much like speculation and stuff.
Well,
it feels far-fetched.
When we've been to races ourselves,
we've
seen UCI checkers, motor checkers.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the Giro last year and seeing a guy just sat with his iPad, chilling, doing nothing. And then he went up to a bike and sort of checked a random bike. And then that was like it. And there wasn't really they weren't going on the team truck and checking every bike and every wheel.
Yeah.
And so, when you look on the back of a car, there's loads of bikes, there's spare bikes. Riders do bike changes, riders, do wheel changes throughout a race. I'm not accusing teams of cheating. I'm just saying that if you really wanted to do it,
it could be plausible.
It could be possible.
But I mean, like you said, we both go to bike races. We see stuff. I see all the different bikes. I go to see the teams. I pick the bikes up. I look at them, and like, it just seems too far.
Well, we've never seen anything. We've had a lot of access.
At no point have I ever looked at something and go, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. Or that doesn't seem right." And I mean, literally, when I was at the Giro, I went in 2-3 different team trucks, and it's just normal stuff sat around. Logistically, I feel like it's near impossible.
Yeah.
But there has been one case of it proven, so it clearly is possible.
Well, the UCI is taking positive steps, and they are upping the checks that they're doing. And they've employed a former criminal investigator called Nicholas Raudensky, who's now going to take this on.
Fight the good fight.
Yeah, which is good. We want that.
I applaud that. Yeah.
Sure. But in terms of who's actually cheating as well, not necessarily what you think.
So
I spoke to Chris about this.
So what's the theory and what's the approach here? Come on.
Well, he reckons that when he's heard sort of rumours from riders and people who race and undisclosed sources, and there have also been accusations of whirring motor sounds coming from riders on other riders' bikes.
Yeah, I've heard these.
These are stories that have been out there, and people have been accusations. People are obviously very careful not to name names because without concrete proof,
you can't just throw allegations.
You're throwing yourself out there for slander and libel.
Yeah.
But he says that he's hearing it's more often domestiques
Okay.
rather than the star riders who were doing this. And the reason being that they are very reliant on doing a good job for the team to secure a contract.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense.
Well, they need to put bread on the table.
Yeah, I can see that logic.
But also they face far less scrutiny in terms of checks.
Yeah, because they're not going to be the ones finishing on the top step of the podium, are they? So then, yeah, okay.
But I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I feel like it's like a massive can of worms that we've kind of opened up slightly. But yeah, it's a fascinating subject nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, I would really like to try and investigate and see if we can get our hands on some kind of hidden hub motor type thing.
I'd love to try and create my own one.
Let's see if we can build one. You're good at that.
I don't know. But nonetheless, yeah, it is interesting. I'm keen to hear everyone else's thoughts on this as well. Do you think it's plausible? Are you a believer in, I don't know, that this does happen? Just, yeah, it'd be interesting. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, we'll discuss it next week.
Time now for Hot and Spicy Tech. And Alex,
Yes.
there's some new Shimano GRX. What are the stats?
Oh, I love the stats, right. After a long old wait, Shimano GRX Di2 12-speed is now finally here. So I made a video all about the mechanical 12-speed version when it launched last year. And this latest group set is now electronic and wireless. It's kind of taken the same ethos of what Shimano's road group sets have. So you've got a singular battery, and then it's wired to the derailleurs, and then the connectivity from the shifters to the derailleurs is wireless. So the shifters have also got a new shape and design to them, which are kind of meant to match up with flared bars. That's like in all the trend with gravel racers. A lot of the components do crossover from the mechanical group sets. So things like the cranks, the brakes, all of those bits and pieces, the chain, the cassette. Effectively, you've now got new derailleurs and shifters, which is kind of cool nonetheless. If you want to know everything all about the new GRX, of course, Si's done a first look video, hasn't he? He's got his hands on it ages ago, and he's actually gone and raced on the bike using a new group set, which I think is pretty cool, right?
Well, he's trying to qualify for the gravel worlds.
He is. We don't want to give it away, but I think he did all right.
Don't want to give it away. Go give it away.
I think he did all right. Anyway, nonetheless, right. If you want to find out like weights, prices, all of the stats and details on it, go check that video out, basically.
So next up, something to do with the new SRAM Red group set, which we spoke about last week.
Yeah.
Now has Wahoo integration, which means that there are little sort of hidden buttons.
They're called bonus buttons.
Bonus buttons.
That's like the actual name for them.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, bonus buttons, you can configure those now to control your Wahoo head unit.
Yeah, so
that
is a cool feature. So when SRAM Red launched, it also coincided with like a new Hammerhead head unit and some Goodyear tyres, which we'll speak about the tyres in a minute. But the head unit functionality is also like able to be mimicked across on the Wahoo, which is cool. So you can use it to mimic the functionality of almost all of the buttons on the head unit by doing either a short press or a long press on the buttons to use the 3 buttons in the middle or the zoom in and zoom out as well, which I think is a really cool feature. And you also can see some of the gear data as well, which is pretty neat and tidy. And the tyres, right, was an interesting one for me. So get this, this is Zip collaborating with Goodyear here to create tyres which are tailored to their wheels, which it feels a little bit wild saying that to me, but interesting nonetheless. What do you think about it?
Well, we know that the tyre rim interface is crucial for
It's
performance.
absolutely crucial, yeah.
So if that is possible to optimise that, I feel that is somewhere where you could eke out some extra performance.
I think yeah.
But the counter argument,
Yeah.
and I feel this is where I can sense it.
Yeah, you can sense it. Go on.
Seeping out of you.
Yeah.
Right? We already kind of have this TRTO, whatever it is.
ETRTO.
Standards
Yeah.
for tyres, where they have to be the same, the exact same like dimensions and stuff.
Yeah, I think
For the hookless technology.
there's like really concise and specific industry standards that everyone's working to, and it feels tricky to then say that you're working to a better standard than that. But nonetheless, I think it's interesting, right? So the new range of tyres includes 3 different options. You've got the Vector R Z30 NSW, which is optimised for the Zip 353 NSW. And then there's also a Vector R 730 SW and an RZ7. And there's also an RZ35 SW tyre for the 303 Firecrest rims. yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say about it, but it's interesting nonetheless.
POC have officially launched their new helmet, which we've seen quite a few races already this season, and EF Education Easy Post have been winning races on it. So that's a good endorsement, isn't it, for a new product?
So I spotted it at Sea Otter as well. And did you see the speed he walked at when he put that helmet on?
Wow. Well, it's called the Pro Chen Air, or is it Pro Sen?
I've no idea.
It's either called the Pro Chen Air or the Pro Sen Air. And yeah, it's quite a distinctive looking helmet.
Yeah,
Si wore it at Sea Otter. It kind of half covers your ears and it has a visor.
I feel like it's a halfway house between a time trial helmet and a road bike helmet. So
big performance gains.
Performance gains. I've got the stats because, I do the stats.
Yeah.
The performance gains are typically ranging from 5 watts at low speed to 18 watts at high speed. So
according,
like 30 to 60k. Yeah.
According to POC.
Yeah, let's make that super clear.
I mean, if that is the case, 18 watts at
high speed,
60k an hour.
Well, that's huge.
Just on a descent or whatever. That's still massive. Huge. Like we say, 5 watts at low speed. You were just saying earlier, 5 watts on outdoors is hugely significant. So if this is true, then it is a big
visually, like I got to be told, the tech and the idea behind it, like some of the other time trial helmets that we've been speaking about lately, I'm all for it. But visually, purely from a visual point of view, it's not doing it for me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You're not wearing it to look cool. You're wearing it to go fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Prices, anyway, €400, £360, or 450 Canadian dollars. Let's just add that in there as well.
Well, yeah. We've got a lot of Canadian viewers.
The weight is actually, it's not necessarily important, but something we should mention, 350 grams for a size medium.
2,999 Danish kroner.
Oh, actually, I was just going to say that one next for all the Danish fans out there. Yeah. Right, okay, then on to the last bit in hot tech. We should briefly mention the new Switch Go kit, which is available. And we're actually going to be making a video on GCN about it. But I thought it was an interesting bit of tech to mention nonetheless, because, as I said at the start of the show, it allows you to convert pretty much any bike into an e-bike, which I think, broadly speaking, for the cycling community, could be a good thing.
Yeah, well, if it enables more people to get on bikes in a low-cost way, that's good. And it makes cycling more accessible if you live, particularly in a place like where we live in Bath, or maybe San Francisco, where it's very, very hilly. Yeah, that can be something that inhibits people who are beginners getting going.
Yeah, now as a company, they've already been making e-bike conversion kits, but they've got a couple of new ones out, which is obviously what we're going to take a closer look at. But essentially, if you're not familiar with it, it converts your bike to an e-bike by replacing the front wheel and then adding a battery on and then using a sensor to monitor your pedaling so that it can all work correctly. So if you want to see more about that, keep your eyes peeled and subscribe to GCN and subscribe to GCN Tech. Right, more hot tech next week.
Time now for comments of the week. Your comments on videos that we've had last week. Right, so first up, this is on our, don't make these mistakes when buying a used bike video. Yeah. Seattle Girly says, remember, private sale isn't the only way to get a good used bike. Many local bike shops sell bikes that have been checked over. I got mine from Pro's Closet here in America, and I felt confident I was getting a quality product. Sure, it cost more than a dude in a car park, but they checked the records, did a full service, and I got a warranty. That's a good point.
That's a really good comment. I like that.
Yeah.
It's good to share that information with everybody. Tony Bob 5209 says, fair play GCN, a few points I'd not considered, especially when I'm interested in purchasing an early 1980s classic road bike. Oh, he says he's got a question here added into his comment. Could we do a video on the best trackers and anti-theft devices, like including DNA bike tags? Well, yeah, we probably could. Maybe something we could look at doing in the future.
Yeah, I think we could.
We did say that in the show where we were talking about trackers.
We did talk about it in a recent GCN Tech Show.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be worth one to check out. I think it's called like Thieves Hate This.
Oh, there you go. And then the other video that we got some comments from is all about Hank on his recumbent bike, right?
Yeah.
because he thinks this bike is going to make him faster than anybody else. So if you want to find out, check the video out. But JC74435 says, if Ironman triathletes find out about these, it's going to be wild. I'm in complete agreement.
Yeah. D1N02 says, good luck with UCI approval.
Yeah.
Well, they have no jurisdiction here.
Not a Castle Coombe when he went racing, that's for sure. And then underneath last week's show, Steve Yanku 104144 says, I biked past Alex and Ollie a few hours ago on River Road under the George Washington Bridge. In the 1 second I had to decide what to say, all I could do was point and say, Alex and Ollie. Apparently, we did say hi back, which is great news.
That's good, yeah.
It was actually really cool seeing loads of people out of New York, wasn't it? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and they said, that was nice of them. I hope that getting recognised isn't annoying. Enjoy GFNY. No, it's not annoying, is it?
I think it's incredible.
It's amazing.
People.
What's amazing for us is that we can go to the other side of the world, and there's people who know who we are. It's ridiculous, but it's just really nice as well to see that people support the channel and like what we do.
Well, this is the thing. Cycling community is incredible, and that's what it's all about. One other comment from the show, which is from Cake Is Fun.
Great username.
Great, love that. They say, what about running a classified system and a front derailleur? I was talking about this the other week to you.
I think we were talking about it on the plane as we flew to New York.
That's just how exciting we are.
Great fun at parties.
Thinking super low gearing for super steep hills, bike packing and long days out while maintaining small steps between shifts. Yeah, so the thing I was thinking about would go classified hub and then triple chain set out front. You have like literally all of the gears.
All of the gears.
Yeah.
All the gears.
Maybe no ideas.
Right.
So it's time for the bike vault. Where's the bell?
Bike vault, where is it?
I've got it. Okay, the bike vault, you can upload pictures via the uploader, which is in a link in the description down below. And then we either judge them to be nice or super nice. If they're super nice, we ring the bell.
Right. First up this week, we have a Ridley Noah Fast. It's got a SRAM Force Access 1 by on it. What do you make of this? Apparently, they live in Flanders in Belgium.
Love it. As long as the lever is not getting scratched on the wall, but as you say every time,
fine.
it's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, that's a super nice.
Yeah, super nice. The valves match the frame as well.
Big deep boys. Deep boys in there. Next up.
Is from Gardner Zero, Canyon Endure CF SLX 7, 50 miles into their first ever century ride, wishing their legs are the power of the nuclear power plant in the background.
Yeah.
Love those. It's a little bit dark, a bit shaded on some of the bike, but nonetheless, it's cool.
I just love it as a nuclear power plant in the background. Like, someone goes, I'm going to go for a nice ride somewhere. Where can we go? So, I cycle to the nuclear power plant.
Look, there might be an absolutely banging route to get there.
Yeah.
Who knows? Right, what about the bike? Let's get this thing on track. Slightly jaunty angle.
Yeah.
The valves are aligned. It's in the correct gear.
How's it propped up?
Shadow stand, only thing possible.
Because I like nuclear power and nuclear power plants, and just like all the chemistry involved in that, I'm swayed to a super nice.
Super nice. A bit rusty on the bell there. Next up is from Stephen Crabe, is Merida at Goodwood. 2023 Merida Sculpture at 6,000 Di2 ready. Oh, ready to be put through its paces at a track day at Goodwood.
Oh.
Hopefully the bush isn't scratching the paintwork on the frame. Otherwise, a cool picture.
Yeah.
Can we let that slide if it's like literally half in the bush?
Oh, no. I'm zooming in to see what kind of bush it is, because if it's like a hawthorn, absolutely not.
Let me guess, you know exactly what bush it is.
I don't. I'm not an expert when it comes to bushes.
Right, if you say so.
But like...
Mike's laughing.
Wow,
why is Mike laughing?
Unbelievable. Why is it...
Right, anyway, come on, nice or super nice?
Unbelievable. Oh.
Nice or super nice, come on.
That is a super nice.
Super nice, and the bush is good too. Right. Next one in is from Beta Yano Wuska 111.
Nice.
Oh, it's the wrong way round.
Wrong way around.
Nice.
And it's got a chimney. And that saddlebag is like, what's going on with that?
It's a bit droopy.
Droopy saddlebag. And there's a load of like excrement on the seat tube. Look.
Okay.
Terrible.
Sorry, just a nice. Close though.
Rubbish.
God, you're very negative there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Don't like that one.
Okay, right. So I'll apologise on behalf of all. Felix Gibson, 1510 next, Merida Reacto, picked a bike up from a friend back in October and spent the winter sourcing all the parts from eBay and Marketplace. So hopefully this is a good value bike build done by then. I like this.
Mega, yeah.
The design and the colours and the paintwork do just really remind me of that era of bikes. I want to say like 2000s or maybe.
What I commend about this is like, you know, he's built up all the parts and he's, you know, doing it. Yeah. That's great. And he's made good component choices.
105.
105. He's got some good GP5000 tyres on there.
Groupset the people.
Yeah, rate it. I mean, a couple of moot points.
Yeah, come on.
Saddle's a bit grubby, but used component, so you've got a bargain.
Yeah.
Pedals, white pedals are a bit grubby.
Crank's the wrong orientation as well.
But I can let that slide because of the effort that's gone into it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of effort gone into that.
Yeah, nice backdrop as well.
Yeah, and it's a nice bike.
Super nice.
Super nice.
Okay, right. Last one for this week is from N.Muchmore02. What is this bike?
Oh,
I'm trying to look what it is.
It's an Ican A9.
SRAM Force. Asiema power pedals. Cool picture.
A tri-aero. It's a great sort of
cool location.
Backdrop.
Yeah. Right. There's not too many unnecessary accessories. It's in the correct gear. The valves are almost aligned. I feel like I want to be kind and let this one slip through?
Yeah, I kind of do, but it's just I don't know, like the sort of shrubbery and low wall is. I'm just not. I don't know. It's the shrubbery.
Anything about the bike?
The shrubbery's just.
Oh, you're dilly-dallying too long. Super nice. You take too long. Right, that's it for this week's show. We're going to be back next week with recharged batteries.
Hopefully no longer jet-lagged. Yeah.
Come on. If you did enjoy the show, give it a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments section down below what you think of like motor doping and if it's actually a thing in your opinion.
I'm going to go sleep now.
Okay, right. Love you, bye.
Bye.